Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be taking a look at our NFL Week 8 matchups. We're going to go over every single game and try to predict the outcome for every game, and we'll also take a look at the best bets. That's the money lines, the spreads, and the over-unders. We know that Week 7 is just wrapping up. We still have the Monday night games to happen, but it's never too early to start looking at the matchups for the next week. Week 8 is going to have some really good matchups. There's also some injury news for some of these teams. Some players will be out. Some teams will be getting some players back. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will respond. Every single week, we go over every single NFL game. We also do the same thing for every college football game as well. We break down the money lines, the spreads, and the over-unders. If you're a football fan, if you're a sports fan, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. But let's go ahead and get started running through these games. We have no teams on bye weeks this week, so we have a lot of games coming up. Kicking things off, we have our Thursday night game, the prime game at 8:15. We have the 5-1 Vikings coming off of their loss to the Lions. We did have the Lions winning that game. They will be playing the 2-4 LA Rams. The Rams are coming off of their win versus the Raiders. We did have them beating the Raiders. Right now, the Vikings are 3-point favorites. The over-under here is 46.5, and the Vikings have a 54.2% chance to win this game. The Vikings obviously have MVP candidate Sam Darnold leading the way. He's closing in on 1,400 yards. He has 12 touchdowns right now, 5 picks. And the Rams have the trusty Grizzly veteran Matt Stafford. He's closing in on 1,400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's not having his best season, but obviously the Rams have been really banged up. Williams was hurt. Nakua, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp should be playing this game. Nakua is questionable, so that's something that we might have to revisit later this week. But if they get both of those guys on the field, that's going to be a game changer. For the Vikings right now, they average 28 points a game. They throw for 213.8. They run for 119.3. And they have a solid top 10 defense, giving up 17.8 points a game. And they only give up 80 rushing yards per game. It's going to be hard to run on the Vikings. If you beat them, it's going to have to be vertically through the air, and that's where the opportunities are. They give up 260.3 passing yards per game, so Stafford will have opportunities to push the ball down the field. Right now, the Rams, they average 19 points a game. They throw for 212.8. They run for 100.3, but they have a lot of deficiencies on defense right now. They're giving up 25.7 points a game. That's 213 through the air, 152 on the ground. So there will be opportunities for the Vikings to run, to throw the ball. But look for Stafford. He has to stay aggressive here. The Vikings are the far superior team. They have Darnold, they have Jones, they have Justin Jefferson, quite possibly the best wide receiver in the NFL. Rams are good when they're healthy. They're just not fully healthy right now. So I have to go with the Vikings to get the rebound here, winning this one 27-17. And we'll now move on to our Sunday game, Sunday, October 27th. The first one you have at 1 p.m. on Fox. The 2-4 Cardinals. Like I said, the Monday night games have not happened yet since I recorded this, so they haven't played. They'll be playing the 2-4 Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are a lot better than their 2-4 record. The issue has been health at the quarterback position. They've been down to their 4th-string quarterback. Obviously, that's going to limit the offense. When this team is healthy, this is one of the best offensive rosters in all of football. Tua, Achin, Mostert, Hill, Waddle, Berrios. They have a lot of weapons, but they need a quarterback who can consistently distribute the ball to the playmakers. They don't have that right now. But word is Tua is supposed to be practicing Week 8. It's Week 8. So he can now come off the IR. He's going to be at practice. Has he been named the starter Sunday? No. But I'm going to bank on him starting this game, him being healthy. Hopefully the guy doesn't get another concussion this week. But looking at the Cardinals, obviously, it is a team that is very flip-floppy. So basically, they will look great one week, and the next week, they looked awful. They looked bad last week. So Monday night, they might play a solid game, but they have weapons. They have Kyler Murray, they have Connor, they have Marvin Harrison Jr., although he is battling concussion issues. But when they're on, they can move the ball because Kyler Murray is very multiple. He can throw it, he can run it. Right now, as a team, they average 22.2. They throw for 187. They run for 145.2 yards per game. So they have had success running the ball. That's because they have Connor, and Kyler Murray can also scramble, but it's their defense. They have virtually zero pass rush. They can't get pressure on the opposing quarterback. If it's Tua, he will be very thankful to that. Right now, they give up 27.2 points a game, 220 through the air, 153 on the ground. The Dolphins, they average 11.7 points per game. That is the worst in the NFL. But like we said, they were down to their four-string quarterback. When healthy, they were top 5 in scoring last season. Right now, they average 179.5 through the air, 128.7 on the ground. Their defense is giving up 21.5. That's actually not bad considering the fact they're on the field the entire game. The Dolphins are the favorites here. That's because Vegas is expecting Tua to be back and to play. They are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under is 48.5. But the Cardinals have a 58.2% chance to win this game. Tua could be pretty shaky. How does he rebound from the concussion? Does he have to play very conservatively? We don't know yet. This is our first time seeing him, but I'm going to go off of him being healthy, him being back at typical form. I have the Dolphins winning this one in a close, low-scoring one, 21-17. But like we said, we need more news off of Tua throughout the week. This next game is a potential fun one. At 1 p.m. on CBS, we have the 4-2 Philadelphia Eagles. We did have them beating the Giants. They dominated that game 28-3. They'll be playing the 3-4 Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati is riding a 2-game losing streak. Props to them. They had one of the worst starts of the season. They are rebounding right now. We did have them beating the Browns this past weekend. Right now, the Bengals are the favorites. A close game. 2.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 49.5, but it's the Eagles who have a 53.9% chance to win this game. The Eagles looked really good on Sunday. What I've been saying is they're a solid team. They have a great offensive roster. It's turnovers. That's been the killer. That's been their Achilles heel since the second half of last season. That problem has carried into this season. But the last couple games, they've actually been playing pretty solid. They've cut down on the turnovers, especially from Jalen Milroe. Right now, he comes into this game. He's closing in on 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. Burrow is lighting things up through the air. He's closing in on 1,800 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks. Right now, the Eagles, they average 22 points a game. They throw for 195.5. One of the best rushing teams in the country. They run for 166.7. And their defense has been playing really good the last 3 games. They're only giving up 19.2 points a game. And that was another issue they had last season, was they were giving up a lot of points, could not dominate at the line of scrimmage. They've looked a lot better so far this season. Right now, the Bengals, they average 25.4. They have a top 10 offense. They throw for 237.4. They run for 94.3. They have to get the rush yards up, and their defense is giving up 23.7. For the Eagles, they have Hurts. Saquon Barkley closing in on 700 yards on the ground. Hurts did not have to do much this past weekend. Barkley did everything, rushed for 175 yards. If that hot streak continues into this week, they're going to have a lot of success. They have A.J. Brown. They have Smith. They have the weapons. They have a very deep wide receiver core. For Cincinnati, there will be opportunities to move the ball, but they also have playmakers. They can score with the Eagles if this game turns into a shootout. They have Burrow. They have Brown. They have Chase, Higgins, one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the NFL. This game could come down to final possession, could come down to a costly turnover. If that's the case, the turnover is probably going to come from the Eagles. But I think the Eagles could pull this one out. They have the hot hand right now. I have the Eagles upsetting the Bengals, winning this one 27-23. The next matchup at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 4-2 Baltimore Ravens. They have not played yet. They have not played their Monday night game. They'll be playing the 1-6 Cleveland Browns. The Browns' only win was versus the Jags. Right now, the Browns. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, I've been bashing him the whole season. He's the issue on this team completely. Everything falls on his shoulders. He's been hurt. Should be Jameis Winston playing this game. Jameis Winston brings a little bit of a different skill set to this game. He can roll around, but he's going to be pushing the ball vertically down the field. No matter what, this guy is going to be throwing the ball deep. So that could have a good outcome, that could have a bad outcome. He could throw for 3-4 touchdowns. He could throw for 3 or 4 picks. That's the way that Jameis Winston is. Right now, though, the Ravens are the favorites, 9.5-point favorites. The over on here is 42.5, and Baltimore has a 64.2% chance to win this game. That is a massive spread for an NFL game. So obviously Vegas thinks that the Browns are going to play pretty sloppy on the offense. Right now, the Ravens have a top 5 offense. They come in, they're averaging 29.5 points a game. The most balanced offense in the NFL. They throw for 248.3. They run for 205.3. They had the number 1 rushing team in the NFL last season. And in the offseason, they added Derrick Henry to that. They're even better running the ball this year. And Lamar Jackson is putting up MVP caliber numbers. Right now, their defense is giving up 24.8. That's not the best, but it's very one-dimensional. So they give up 275.7 pass yards per game. That's one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. That's why the Browns and Jameis Winston are going to push them vertically down the field. There will be opportunities to hit your targets down the field, but you cannot run on Baltimore. They only give up 59 rushing yards per game. That's their strength, shutting down the run. Their weakness is that then opens up the pass, but you're going to have to beat them through the air. It's not going to happen on the ground. Right now, the Browns, they average 15.6, one of the worst offenses in the NFL, but there's a new quarterback playing Sunday. So take all those stats, throw them out the window. We haven't seen Jameis Winston start a game this season, so this is a bit of the unknown here. First game starting this year, he could light things up. That is always a possibility. Right now, they throw for 159.6. They run for 94.3. And their defense, they have a top 10 defense. They are giving up 23.1. That's not top 10 statistically, but talent-wise top 10. But they're on the field the entire game. That's why they give up 23 points a game. Looking at Baltimore's roster, it is loaded. Jackson, Henry, Flowers, Andrews, Likely. They have weapons at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. For the Browns, they have Winston, Ford, Judy. Cooper's gone. I have Baltimore winning this one in a little bit of a closer one. 26-20. There's just the unknown of Jameis Winston. He hasn't started yet this season. He could easily have a great game his first game starting, but I think Baltimore still pulls it out. They have the multiple offense. They can run it, and they can throw it whenever they need to. Then next matchup on Fox at 1 p.m., the 1-5 Titans. We did have them losing to the Bills, and they lost to the Bills big. They'll be playing the 5-1 Detroit Lions. We did have Detroit beating the Vikings. Right now, the Lions are heavy favorites. I hate these massive spreads. They're 11.5-point favorites here, and the over-under is 48 points. Right now, the Lions have a 79% chance to win this game. They're basically giving the Titans no chance. That kind of concerns me somewhat, but right now, the Titans, obviously, they have a bit of a quarterback carousal going on. They started Mason Rudolph this past game over Will Levis. He did not do good, but Will Levis would not have done any better. The guy's not a great quarterback. Too many turnovers. Right now, the Titans, they average 17.7 points a game. They throw for 145.8. They run for 113.3. They're just averaging over 250 offensive yards per game. That's not going to cut it in the NFL, and their defense is giving up 24 points a game for Detroit. This is one of the best rosters in the NFL. They are loaded a top 10 defense, top 10 offense. They have a top 5 overall roster. They want to get to the playoffs. They want to get to the Super Bowl this season, and they are ready to go. Goff has looked a lot better the last 3 to 4 games. Right now, he's closing in on 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. They're averaging 30.3 points a game. They're throwing for 256.3, running for 155.5, and their defense is only giving up 20 points per game. This is an elite team. For the Titans, they have Levis, they have Mason Rudolph, Pollard, Ridley. Hopkins was banged up this past game. For the Lions, they have Goff, Gibbs, Montgomery, St. Brown. Multiple weapons at quarterback, running back, wide receiver. They can beat you passing the ball. They can beat you running the ball. They can beat you relying on their defense. Even with Aiden Hutchinson out, they still get the stops on third down. He might come back at some point this season. Probably not, but they said that is questionable. I have Detroit cruising here. They should win this one. I have them winning it 30-17. But like I said, I hate those massive NFL spreads. Then at 1 p.m. on CBS, we have the 2-5 New York Jets. They need a win badly. This team, with the money they've invested in their roster, they cannot drop to 2-6. If you drop to 2-6, to me, that mountain is too high to climb. They have to be fighting their way back to 500 right now. They'll be playing the 1-6 Patriots. We did have them losing to the Jags. Right now, the Jets are the favorites. They're very glad to hear that. They need to win. They're 6.5-point favorites. The over-under is 41.5, and the Jets have a 70.9% chance to win this game. Right now, the Jets, obviously, they signed Adams. That's a massive upgrade. He's a little on the older side, but he's a veteran, experienced wide receiver. He's going to click with Rodgers, give them some games. They have to get the chemistry back. Right now, the Jets, they average 18.3. They throw for 224.6. They run for 82.4. And they got to get the rush yards up. They have to get the running yards up to help Aaron Rodgers open up the passing game. But they do have a solid defense, giving up 20.7 points a game. For the Patriots, one of the worst offenses in the country. They don't have a bad defense, but it's the offense. They cannot get first downs. They cannot score. They've been shuffling quarterbacks. They had Jacoby Brissett starting, but now they're rolling with Drake May. Keep Drake May in. He's the rookie. Let him get the reps. Right now, they're averaging 14-point run, throwing for 151.9, running for 111. That's all with Stevenson. He's not enough to carry this team, and their defense is giving up 25 points per game. The Jets, they have Rodgers, Hall, Wilson, Lazard, Adams. They have the better weapons. It's just everyone has to get on the same page at one time. Too many turnovers, too many guys dropping balls. They have to help Rodgers out. They need to catch balls. They need to run their routes right. For the Patriots, they have Stevenson. They have Hunter Henry. I have the Jets getting things back on track. They need to end the losing streak. They win this one comfortably, and the passing game opens up. They win it 24-13. And the next one could easily turn into a shootout. When they played 2 to 3 weeks ago, it was a shootout. Was a fun game. At 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the 4-3 Atlanta Falcons coming off of that loss to Seattle. They'll be playing the 4-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have not played as of me making this video. Right now, the Bucs are the favorites. 2.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 48.5. The Buccaneers have a 56.7% chance to win this game. This game could go either way. It's 50-50. It's basically a pick-em. The Falcons won the first matchup. It's hard to beat a good team twice in one season. That's why the Buccaneers right now are the favorites. But when these teams played last time, they were lighting things up. They were throwing the ball at will. Very high scoring. Went into overtime. This game could turn into an equal shootout right now. It's going to be fun to watch. Right now, the Falcons, even though they looked awful this past weekend, I said after the Week 1 performance, don't worry too much about Week 1. Kirk Cousins, he's a gunslinger. He's going to light it up. He hadn't played in a long time. He just needs to get comfortable. New team, new scheme, new system, new teammates. They've been rolling since then, especially vertically passing the ball down the field. It did not look good this past weekend, but maybe that just means that they're due to get things back on track and have a great performance this weekend. Right now, Cousins closing in on 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. Cut down on the picks, Cousins. They're averaging 23.3 points a game, throwing for 251.1, running for 119.6, and their defense is giving up 24.1. For the Buccaneers, they have one of the top 5 scoring offenses in the country. They're averaging 29.7. Baker Mayfield, to me, he was the comeback player of the year last year, and he picked up right where he left off this season. He's closing in on 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. They're throwing for 230.3. They're running for 136.8. Their defense is giving up 23.3 points a game. Both teams have loaded rosters. The Falcons, it is stacked. Cousins, Bijan Robinson, he has Algiers, he has London, Mooney, Pitts, multiple weapons, multiple guys that he can consistently spread the ball out to, but the Buccaneers are right there with him. Mayfield, Irving, Godwin, Evans, veteran, experienced wide receiver cores. They can make the play on 3rd and long. He knows who his go-to guys are. I have the Bucs winning this one in a close one. It's going to go down to the end of the 4th quarter, but I have Tampa Bay taking it 27-24. Like I was saying, it's hard to beat a good team twice in one year. We had both of these teams winning in Week 7, and they both won. At 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the 5-2 Green Bay Packers playing the 2-5 Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are finally back from London. They've been there for 2 straight weeks. Right now, the Packers are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 49.5, and the Packers have a 64.5% chance to win this game. Looking at the Packers, obviously Jordan Love, he missed, 2 to 3 games, and he's still putting up crazy numbers, closing in on 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 8 picks. Cut down on the turnovers, but he has a lot of passing touchdowns, considering the fact that he's only played about 4 to 5 games. Right now, they're averaging 26.6 points per game, one of the best scoring offenses in the country. They throw for 228.1. They run for 155. Very balanced offense, and their defense is really good, top 10, giving up 20.4 points per game. They have Love. They have Jacobs. They have Reed. They have the playmakers, and they have the hot hand right now. The Jags are finally coming back to the U.S. They have Trevor Lawrence closing in on 1,600 yards. He has 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's played a lot better the last 2 weeks, had an awful start to the season, but they're finally starting to get things on track on the offensive side. Right now, they're averaging 20.7, throwing for 201.6, running for 124.3, and it's the defense that's the issue. They're giving a 27.7 points per game. We said before that the Ravens had the worst pass defense. The Jaguars are almost as bad. They give up 273.9 pass yards per game. That's where the Packers have to attack you vertically through the passing game. They have the weapons to do it. The Jags got to get that number down. You got to get it sub 250, but right now giving up just under 275 passing yards per game. They have Trevor Lawrence. They have Bigsby, who's been lighting it up the last 3 games on the ground. They have Brian Thomas Jr. They have Kirk. They have young weapons at the wide receiver position, but will they be able to outscore the Packers? That's a big question. I have Green Bay taking this game, winning this one 30-20. I think there's going to be way too many holes there for Jordan Love to be able to exploit through the passing game. The next matchup at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 4-3 Colts. We did have the Colts beating the Dolphins. They'll be playing the 5-2 Houston Texans. They're coming off of a loss to the Packers. We did have them losing to the Packers. Right now, the Texans are pretty big favorites here. They are 6-point favorites. The over-under is 46.5, and the Texans have a 61.2% chance to win this game. I said previously, nothing against Anthony Richardson. I think he's too sloppy, though he's not accurate passing the ball. He is closing in on 800 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 6. I think Flacco honestly still gives you the better chance to win. Richardson's great with the physical abilities. He can run. He can scramble. He cannot pass, and he has twice as many picks as touchdowns. He's still young, though. Right now, the Colts average 22.1 points a game. They throw for 206.3. They run for 123. And their defense has been getting better the last few weeks, giving up 21.3 points per game. For the Texans, obviously, they're loaded. One of the best offensive rosters, a really deep wide receiver core. Right now, they have Stroud closing in on 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. They average 23.6. They pass for 227.6. They run for 122.1. And their defense is giving up 22.7 points per game. The Colts do have some pretty decent weapons. Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, when he's healthy, but he hasn't been playing recently. He can catch it. He can run out the backfield. And they have Pierce. But the Texans, that's where they have the advantage at. Stroud, Mixon, when healthy. Collins, Diggs. Now, Collins isn't going to be playing. I think he's out to at least week 10. He was listed as questionable for 4 weeks. That should put him out to week 10. He was the receiving yards leader. He's not there. That's a massive loss. Perhaps with Collins, they beat the Packers. Maybe. But no matter what, they still have the better wide receiver core. Diggs needs to step up this game, has to cement himself as the number 1 go-to guy with Collins out. I have the Texans winning this one, 27-20. But I'll say right now, this is a game you need to watch because I can see the Colts' hot hand. Them taking this game. Texans are shorthanded. I can see them dropping 2 straight. Colts taking this one while the Texans are down. But either way, as of right now, I'm still going Texans to win this one 27-20. Our next matchup at 4:05 p.m. on Fox, we have the New Orleans Saints at 2-5 versus the 3-2 LA Chargers. We had the Saints losing to the Broncos. They definitely lost to the Broncos. Chargers play Monday night. The Monday night game has not happened as of me making this video. Right now, the Chargers are the favorites. They come into this game. They are 7-point favorites, and the over-under is 39.5. That's a low over-under, but this is 2 more defensively focused team. Saints are shorthanded. Derek Carr is not supposed to play this game. He is questionable technically, but more than likely he could play week 9 or week 10. Probably not going to be playing week 8, so that means that they're going to be going with the rookie, Spencer Rattler, back-to-back weeks versus 2 of the best defenses in the NFL. That's a really bad way to start your NFL career. Right now, the Saints, they're averaging 25.3 points a game, throwing for 196.6, running for 116.3, and they've had a really bad, last 5 games. They started out the year 2-0. They've dropped 5 straight. Can they end that streak here versus one of the best aggressive defenses in the NFL with a rookie quarterback? They have Kamara, who's taken a massive step back because he doesn't have Carr to be able to get him the ball, but he can catch it, he can run it. They have Shaheed, they have Olave, they have weapons. This is not a bad roster. This is a pretty good defense, but they're shorthanded right now, especially with the veteran Carr not playing. They'll be playing the Chargers. Herbert closing in on 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. They haven't used Herbert too much, but that's because they haven't needed to rely on him. If a game turns into a shootout, though, you can unleash Herbert, basically, because he can go for 350 any week. Right now, the Chargers, they average 18.2 per game. They pass for 153.2. They run for 127.8, but it's their defense. They only give up 13.2 points per game. That's half what the Saints give up. This is a top 5 defense. This is a hardball team. They play solid defense. They play special teams. And they run the ball. You can never count that out. They will always be able to keep any game within a one-possession game. They have J.K. Dobbins. It's just going to be a steady dose. J.K. Dobbins, if they're going to run, they're going to run a lot. If they get put in 3rd and long, they have a quarterback who can make those plays easily. I have the Chargers winning this one. They're going to take it 24-16. And our next one at 4:05 p.m. on Fox, the 5-2 Bills. We had the Bills winning. They looked really good this past Sunday. They'll be playing the 4-3 Seattle Seahawks. I said watch the Seahawks. They were riding a 3-game losing streak. They were due to end it. They played really good Sunday. Props to them. But right now, it's the Bills who come into this game as the favorites. They have the hot hand. They are 3-point favorites. The over-under here is 48.5. This game is setting it up to be a high-scoring game. We have two teams that can score when they need to score. The Bills have a 62.3% chance to win this game. They have Josh Allen closing in on 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. Still has yet to throw his first interception. He has 0 interceptions, and it's week 8. That's great. They haven't had to rely on him like they have previous seasons. He's there when you need him, making consistent passes, getting first down, scrambling, running him. But if this game turns into a shootout, we know what Josh Allen is. He's a gunslinger. He can throw for 350. He can run for 80. He can do anything that he needs to do. He has the best arm in the NFL. He's just holding it back right now, but it's there to unleash when needed. And for Seattle, they have Geno Smith having a good season so far, closing in on 2,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 picks. Right now, the Buffalo Bills, the top 5 offense, they average 28.4. They throw for 204.7, a lot lower than usual. But like I said, it just hasn't been needed so far. They're running for 116.3 and a great defense, giving up 19.4 points per game. But Seattle has a great offense. They have a top 10 offense also. They can keep up, go blow for blow with the Bills. They average 25.7. They throw for 270.9, one of the best passing teams. They run for 97.4, and their defense is giving up 23.4 points a game. For Buffalo, they have Josh Allen. They have Cook, Coleman, and they just signed Cooper. He's a veteran. He's older, but he's going to work wonders for this game. They need a true number 1 third down wide receiver. Perhaps it is going to be Cooper. For Seattle, they have Smith. They have Kenneth Walker III. They have DK Metcalf, who's a beast. Look for them to feed him consistently. They're going to need those first downs. Seattle can steal this game from the Bills. I would not be surprised. This game is practically a 50-50 to me, but I'm going to go with the Bills just squeaking this one out, winning this one 28-24. In our next matchup at 4:25 p.m. on CBS, two teams coming off of a loss. We had them both losing last week. The 1-6 Carolina Panthers versus the 4-3 Denver Broncos. The Broncos, very large favorites here, 7.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 42.5, and the Broncos have a 66.5% chance to win this game. The Panthers were the worst team in the NFL last season. They might be the worst team this season. It is pretty close, but they're probably for sure bottom 3. They benched Bryce Young, but Dalton has shown that he can move the ball vertically through the air. That's something that Bryce Young could not do. So it just lets you at least try to have a puncher's chance in these games. But the Broncos are heavy favorites coming into this matchup. Looking at these talents here, we have Dalton closing in on 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 6 picks. You have Bo Nix closing in on 1,300 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 picks. The Broncos are much improved over the way they started the year. Started the year 0-2. The last couple games, they've, gone 3-1. So they're playing a lot better. That's mainly due to their defense. They have a top 10 defense that's keeping them in all of these games. For the Panthers, they average 15.7 points per game. That's a bottom 10 offense. They're throwing for 172.6, running for 109.0. But it's their defense, which is atrocious. The only one giving up over 30 points every single game. They give up 34.7 points per game. Denver does not have a great offense. They will be able to move the ball here. Everyone moves the ball on the Panthers. Right now, Denver, they average 20.7. They throw for 169.9. They run for 124.1. But it's their defense top 5, giving up 15.1 points per game. For the Panthers, they have Dalton. They have Hubbard, who's having a great season considering the fact that he's the only weapon. They know they're going to run it, and he's still putting together a great season. The Broncos, they have Bo Nix. They have Williams. They have Sutton. But it's the defense. That defense is going to keep them in the game. The defense is going to get turnovers. It is going to give the offense short fields. I have the Broncos winning this one, 24-16. Then at 4:25 p.m. on CBS, the 6-0 undefeated reigning Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll be playing the 2-5 Raiders. The Chiefs won their game. The Raiders lost their game. The Raiders look awful. They're not really good at anything. They're not good at scoring. They're not good on stopping other teams from scoring. The Chiefs, they won. Great win versus the 49ers. But Patrick Mahomes, the offense continues to be a massive question mark here. He's not having a good season. I'm not questioning him. He is Patrick Mahomes. He can turn it on when they need him to turn it on. But the offense is really bad this season. This is a guy who's an MVP guy throughout his career. He's closing in on 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. He had 2 picks, 0 touchdowns this past week. That's not good. I don't know what's going on with him, but he has not been on this whole season. But you still have faith in the Chiefs. You know who they are. You know who he is. And you know that he's going to get out of this rut at some point. Right now, the Chiefs are averaging 24.3, throwing for 221.5, running for 128.8. Even banged up with Rice, Pacheco out, they keep winning. It's the defense. They're only giving up 17.2 points per game. They are shutting people down. They are creating turnovers. It's a Super Bowl caliber defense, just like it was last season. The offense doesn't even need to do that much. If you need a score, though, there's no one you would rather have than Patrick Mahomes to take you down the field, 2-minute drill, get the touchdown. They'll be playing the Raiders. The Raiders are just awful. They average 17.7. They throw for 211.1. They run for 85.6. Their defense is really bad, giving up 26.1 points per game. With O'Connell starting, I personally would still start Minshew. I think he can at least get you 3 touchdowns. He might get you 3 picks, but at least he has a 50-50 chance that he'll have a decent game. Looking at the skill positions here, we have Patrick Mahomes. We have Hunt, Rice, Pacheco, Worthy, but the Chiefs are still banged up on the offensive side. They still have to work there. But when your defense is that good, defense travels on the road. They can rely on that. They don't have to do much. They don't have to force things because the defense is going to create turnovers, going to keep the game low. And then for the Raiders, they have Madison. They have Brock Bowers, who's having a great season. But they don't have Adams. They don't have any weapons outside of him. Chiefs should continue to cruise this game. I have them winning this one 27-17. Then next matchup at 4:25 p.m. on CBS, the 4-2 Chicago Bears. They're on a bye this week. They'll be playing the 5-2 Washington Commanders. Coming off of a win, we had them winning. But Jaden Daniels is probably not going to be playing this game. It's probably going to be Marcus Mariota. But that's why they're the underdogs. Right now, the Bears are 1.5-point favorites. The over-under is 45.5, and Washington has a 55.8% chance to win this game. However, Marcus Mariota is one of the best backups in the NFL. Do not count Washington out. He showed they won 40-7 with Marcus Mariota playing. The guy was a Heisman winner. The guy's had a great NFL backup career. He showed the last couple seasons what he can do as a backup. He's one of the best guys to have. He can beat the Bears. But the Bears are pretty good. The Bears are rested. They have Caleb Williams. They've been playing hot, consistent football the last 3 to 4 games. Right now, the Bears with Williams. He's closing in on 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 picks. I said after the Week 1 performance when he had 93 yards. That means absolutely nothing. He's going to get more comfortable every single week. The issue was the offensive line. They weren't buying him time. He was getting hit, pressured. Once the offensive line started playing better, that's when he started hitting the guys downfield, and they have a pretty good defense. Right now, they average 24.7. They throw for 196.7. They run for 104.8. And their defense top 10, almost top 5, giving up 16.8 points per game. That's going to travel on the road versus the Washington Commanders, who are led by Jaden Daniels, but he's not going to play this game. So Marcus Mariota is going to be facing an extremely aggressive defense. But Washington does have one of the best offenses in the NFL. They average 31.1 points per game, pitting up video game numbers so far. They throw for 218.7. They run for 165.4, and their defense is giving up 21.7 points per game. The Bears, they have Williams, Swift, Moore, Odunze. Washington, they have Marcus Mariota. Brian Robinson Jr. was back this past week. He's going to be playing this game, hopefully. And they have Terry. They have the weapons there. They're going to try to keep the game on the ground, develop a running game so that Marcus Mariota can use some play action. But I think the Bears take this one. I have them winning this one on the road, 24-20. But we really got robbed here because this should be Caleb Williams versus Daniels, the last 2 Heisman winners. Would have been a fun game, but unfortunately he got hurt. And our next matchup, the final Sunday night game, two of the biggest brands in the NFL. We have the 3-3 Dallas Cowboys coming off the bye, and they needed the bye because boy did they look awful in week 6. Hopefully they should be fully rested. They have a lot to work on. They'll be playing the 3-4 San Francisco 49ers, who do not look like the team that went to the Super Bowl last season. They're 3-4, but they're really banged up. They're coming off of that loss to the Chiefs. This game's at 8:20 on NBC. It's the 49ers who are the favorites. 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is 47.5. And the 49ers have a 66.5% chance to win this game. I personally think that this game's a 50-50. Cowboys looked atrocious in week 6. To me, that was their worst game of the season so far. Their defense, massive holes. You got to get someone to help Dak Prescott on the ground. But the Cowboys are due to have a rebound win here. They looked awful in week 6. Coming off the bye, Mike McCarthy needs a win. If you're coming off of that awful performance, then a bye, and then you lose to the 49ers, there's going to be a lot of people calling for his head. There's a lot of people calling for his job right now. His seat is on fire. He needs to get this win versus the 49ers. For the 49ers, they just went to the Super Bowl. They can't afford to drop to 3-5 right now. They cannot let that happen. When this team is healthy, this is the best top to bottom roster in the NFL. But that's the issue. They're not healthy right now. They've been banged up at almost every position. Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey, Mason, Kittle. Guys have been in and out the whole season. Right now, looking at these two teams, you have the Cowboys. They average 21 points a game. That's not good enough. They've been way better than that the last decade. They got to get that number up. They're throwing for 259.3. One of the worst rushing attacks in the NFL. They only average 77.2 yards per game on the ground. That's pathetic. They have to get that up. And their defense, they had a top 3 defense last season. They're giving up 28 points a game this year. One of the worst defenses in the NFL. For the 49ers, they average 25.7. They throw for 254.4. They run for 149.9. And their defense is giving up 22.6 points a game. For the Cowboys, they have Prescott. They have Dowdle. They have CeeDee Lamb. Dowdle needs to average more than 40 rushing yards a game. For the 49ers, Purdy, Mason, Jennings. I have the 49ers winning this one. 30-27. It's going to be close. It could go either way. Whoever has the ball last can win this game. I would not be surprised if the Cowboys take it. Do not sleep on the Cowboys here. But I have the 49ers. They're just the better team. I have them getting back to 500. And our final game of the week, Monday night, October 28th, we have the 2-5 New York Giants versus the 5-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. This game's at 8:15 on ESPN. We have the Steelers coming in 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is 37.5. The Steelers have a 68.7% chance to win this game. The Giants are coming off of getting throttled. They lost a massive game. They have to play a lot better. The answer is not Daniel Jones at the quarterback position. But it's also not locked. The one thing they have going for them, they have Singletary. Neighbors is a legitimate wide receiver number 1. They just have to get someone who can consistently distribute the ball to him. Right now, the Giants, they're averaging 14.1 points a game. That's bottom 5. They throw for 189.1. They run for 101.6. And their defense is giving up 21.3 points a game. They don't have a bad defense, but they're on the field the entire game. They get wore out, thus they give up points second half. Pittsburgh, they're averaging 23 points a game. They're throwing for 180. They're running for 134. And they have a top 5 defense giving up 14.4 points per game. They're coming off of beating the Jets. I got to give it to them. I honestly thought the Jets were going to pull that one out. I thought everything was leaning the Jets' way. I had the Steelers favored my first video, but then I went with the Jets once I heard Russell Wilson was going to start. I thought they should have went with Justin Fields. But hey, Russell Wilson had a great game. Props to him. Props to Tomlin. They have that great physical defense. For the Giants, they have Singletary. They have Neighbors. For the Steelers, whether it's Fields, whether it's Wilson, they have that defense. It's going to keep them in every game. They have Harris, who had a great game versus the Jets. They have Pickens. I have the Steelers winning this one. Close one because the Giants' defense is actually solid. They win it 20-17. So that's our breakdown. That's our predictions for all of our Week 8 NFL matchups. We'll have our later video coming out later this week as those spreads move and the best bets. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments on these games or anything else, drop them below and I will respond. Thank you.